Hey guys, Kevin here and Michael Wagner, world famous author and whatnot. Actually, I've just learned about Michael myself. I've been pretty ignorant most of my life, and I've been trying to be a good adult and a good citizen of both my faith and my country, and learn stuff as you should. And I ran across Michael actually a few weeks ago and started learning about how much he's been in the fight for decades. And a lot of our literature in Canada is from our American founding fathers, right? And there's I had a hard time finding Canadian literature. And I wasn't necessarily looking, but it's not always obvious and present. And then here I run across this guy and all his stuff, and I was looking at all the summaries. I'm like, oh, wow, Canadian history and Christian and religious kind of background and theology, the looking glass through that prism. And then on top of that, even Albertan. I'm an Albertan myself too, so I got a lot of books to read about in Alberta history too, because Alberta also runs the flag very Christian as well. I've been told that there's the Bible Belt in Canada. I'm like, if that's true, I'm like, we're in trouble, because if the rest of Canada is less than Alberta, we're really in trouble. But that being said, I really encourage you to connect with Michael's books, get involved in a bunch of his details. Maybe you like some of his things. Maybe you don't have to agree with everything, but that's the whole point. It's a discussion, and the more you know, the better, because people perish for lack of knowledge. And I always say, the more you know, at least then you'll get engaged and you'll become passionate for or against something. And you'll get mad. Well, that's good. Get mad and fight for something, or run away from something. But the more you know is better than being ignorant. And we need more people engaged in our country and for the greater kingdom. So thank you very much. And Michael, it was great having you this weekend here at the Freedom Talk conference. And yeah, definitely check out his website. Any final call to action or whatever yourself?
Oh, it was great to see you again, Kevin, as well. We had a really good conference here, and if you don't mind me mentioning again, if anybody's interested in any of those books, they can see them at merchantship.ca. Just search my name on that site, when my books will come up. So they focus on Canada's Christian history and to some degree Alberta's place within Confederation or out of Confederation. So those are what the topics are mostly about. But actually, just to speak to something you mentioned about the importance of Canadians understanding Canadian Christian history. There's so many American books on American Christian history. There's not so much on Canada's Christian history, and so a couple of my books in particular focus on that. We need to realize that we were a Christian country historically, and we have fallen from where we've been, and that should impact us as to how we look to our country and to our future.
Amen. I know, that's what I can't read his books fast enough. There's so many. I found them. I already had a stack, and now I got another big stack of his. So can't wait to get through them all. So awesome, Michael, and yeah, blessings, brother. So
same to you. Thank you.
Later. Yeah.
My name is Michael Wagner, and I'm a writer, and I've written a number of books on conservative and Christian themes. So here I am at a conference, the Freedom Talk conference in Red Deer, and I have a book display here that if anybody who's interested in my books, they're available at a website called merchantship.ca. That's a small homeschooling business based in Didsbury, Alberta. So they sell many things, but among those are my books. And so if you search my name on merchantship.ca, my books are there and available for people to purchase online. Okay, well, the first book that I have here is Standing on Guard for Thee. It's a history of Christian political activism in Canada. So it starts basically in the late 1960s and goes to the legalization of same-sex marriage in Canada. So it covers the Christian political activism that was resisting the decline, in terms of the legalization of abortion and the expansion of LGBTQ rights. So there's many Christians involved. It was a losing battle in many respects, but the people stood for the truth and made a testimony for the truth, as many are still today. This book, Leaving God Behind, the Charter of Rights in Canada's official rejection of Christianity. It's an explanation of what the Charter did to Canada. Like, many people think the Charter is a wonderful thing and it gave us our rights, but it didn't. We had rights before the Charter, and what the Charter did was undermine the Christian worldview foundation of Canada's government, and it instilled a secular humanist worldview. And so with the Charter, it gave many leftist activists a tool to use in the courts to change Canadian policy. They were able to expand abortion rights using the Charter. They were able to expand LGBTQ rights using the Charter, and many other aspects of Canada's decline were enhanced by using the Charter to undermine Canada's Christian foundation. Okay. This is my book, Alberta Separatism Then and Now. It's a history of the Alberta separatist movement from its beginnings in the late 1960s until 2009, when I wrote that book. So the main feature of that book is the time with Pierre Trudeau and how he launched an attack, an unprecedented attack on Alberta that would never, no province had ever been attacked by a federal government before the way Pierre Trudeau attacked Alberta, which led many Albertans to consider different alternatives, in particular independence, and to get involved with that, which led to a separatist party in Alberta getting an MLA elected. It was the only time a Western separatist was ever elected to legislature in Western Canada. I have this book, No Other Options, Self-Determination for Alberta. This was written in 2021, and it's an explanation about why Alberta should become independent. I mean, it talks about the experience with Pierre Trudeau. It also talks about Justin Trudeau and the things that have happened in between, and why Alberta should become independent and how it can, because Canada's constitutional law has a provision for provinces to become independent. So it's a constitutional pathway that Albertans can take, a completely peaceful and democratic pathway that Albertans can take to become independent. This book, True Right, Genuine Conservative Leaders of Western Canada. There's two aspects to this book. The first part is primarily premiers, Western Canadian premiers who were genuine small C conservatives regardless of their party. Some of them were like Social Credit in Alberta, or even Liberal Party in Saskatchewan. Ross Thatcher, a Liberal premier there, was very conservative, small C conservative in his policies. So the book purpose of that is to introduce Canadians to small C conservative political leaders in Canada. We often look to people like Ronald Reagan in the United States or Margaret Thatcher in Britain, but we have our own small C conservative leaders here. Most of them are forgotten. So the first part of the book is about that. The second part is about Ted Byfield and Link Byfield and Alberta Report magazine, which was a major media influence in Alberta from the 70s until the early 2000s. Had a very big political impact, and they had a very strong conservative philosophy behind the magazine. And that second part of that book explains the conservative philosophy, what their beliefs were, and the kinds of things they advocated with the magazine to, defend Canada's Christian Foundation and our Free Enterprise Foundation. This book is a Christian Citizenship Guide, Christianity and Canadian Political Life. This is the second edition. I wrote the first edition myself many years ago, but last year this was updated by Andre Schutten, a constitutional lawyer in Ontario. So much of the content of this book is actually written by him rather than me, but it's an introduction to Canadian politics from a Christian perspective, explaining our political system and the various issues involved. And it has a long historical introduction to the rights and freedoms that we enjoy as Canadians. And so this explains Canada's political system and various political issues and how Canadian Christians can be involved in Canadian politics right now. The conference organizer, Danny Hozak, is a very kind conservative person. He has me sell my books at these conferences. So the books focus primarily on Christian political activism in Canada, its history and the background to it, and also on Alberta's place within Canada and the need for Alberta to assert itself within Canada or even to be out of Canada. So these are kind of conservative themed books. I think there's about half a dozen of them. And at a conference where, small C conservatives, not a big C conservative party event, but small C conservatives of various persuasions, and we don't all agree on everything, but we talk amongst each other and we get to learn other perspectives, and we're all strengthened that way and encouraged in meeting with each other and talking with each other. So just at this conference, selling these books and very much enjoying it.